Welcome back to the war in Gaza now. Israel is pushing forward in its attacks on Gaza City as local health officials struggle to respond to the growing number of casualties in the region. This is the moment an Israeli artillery fired into the besieged enclave. Hundreds of thousands of people remain in Gaza City, which has become the hotbed for Israel's daily air and ground attacks. Rescuers could be seen attempting to dig out of the rubble of destroyed buildings to search for survivors. Local health officials say at least 77 people were killed by Israeli fire in the last 24 hours. And US President Donald Trump says there's a real chance for greatness in the Middle East and says a deal will get done, but didn't give specific details. In a post on social media, Trump said the US was close to forging a deal that would bring an end to the war in Gaza. Trump says, quote, all are on board for something special. Today, Jordan's King Abdullah said the current plan is in line with what's been agreed upon. Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will meet in the White House tomorrow. With me now is Middle East analyst Andrew Fox. Andrew, good afternoon and thanks for your time here on CTV News Channel. What do you think President Trump is talking about here when he says something special is in the works?
Well, we've seen reports in the last 24, 48 hours of the deal that is being proposed on the table. It involves a full withdrawal eventually from the Gaza Strip by the IDF. It involves the release of all the hostages, and it provides a pathway to both alternative and then Palestinian governance in Gaza, as well as a pathway to the establishment of a Palestinian state in due course.
Is Israel's Prime Minister looking for any sort of a ceasefire or some sort of a deal, you think? Is he even looking at that as an option? What's your assessment there?
Well, I suspect he's going to be told in pretty uncertain terms that it's what the White House wants, which puts him in a real bind because he has very often stated that there will be no Palestinian state, and that was echoed by former ministers. On top of that, the deal that's being leaked and proposed suggests that it will probably collapse the Israeli government because the far-right ministers of Bezalel Smotrich and Itamar Ben-Gvir have been very clear that they won't accept anything that looks like a Palestinian state or a complete Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. So Mr. Netanyahu, over the next 24 hours, is going to find himself really on the horns of a dilemma to keep the White House happy on one hand and the extremists in his cabinet happy on the other hand. And that's going to be very tricky, so I can expect to see a delaying game, I suspect, from Mr. Netanyahu.
A delaying game. Okay, meantime, let's talk about the meeting that President Trump had with Muslim leaders that took place on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York. We understand reportedly that brought leaders from Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE, Egypt, Jordan, and others. What's your take on what really transpired there? What do we know what came out of it?
Well, it's very tricky to know what gets spoken about behind closed doors, but there is certainly an exasperation amongst Gulf leaders with the fact that the war is still going on, whilst they despise Hamas and they despise the Muslim Brotherhood who founded them. They also understand that the Arab street is particularly unhappy with the continued plight of the Palestinians, unhappy with Israel. And a pathway to peace is really in everyone's interest, both for economic reasons, in terms of fuel pipelines and development, and also trying to find a solution to the ongoing many decades-long conflict between Israel and Palestinian Arabs.
Andrew, you did say that Prime Minister of Israel Netanyahu is going to be in a bind in the next little while. But as the war rages on, buildings are razed, more and more people die every day in Gaza. Can there be a complete destruction of Hamas as desired by Benjamin Netanyahu? Is that even a possibility?
We have to be careful of our terminology, I think, and try and understand what they actually mean when they say destroy Hamas. I mean, is it killing every last member of the murderous terrorists who attacked Israel on 7th of October? Possibly, but that is a military goal from a military perspective that is exceedingly difficult to achieve. Hamas is already utterly defeated as a fighting force. They still have some fighters left, but all of their key commanders are dead. Their battalion and company organised structure has been absolutely fractured, and they've suffered upwards of 20,000 of their fighters killed. So Hamas is defeated, and they pose very little threat ongoing to Israel, I would suggest. So that's a goal that's almost achieved. The thing that's keeping Israel going, I suspect, is the hostages and the need to keep pressure on Hamas in order to get a deal to bring those hostages home from the tunnels where they're being starved, beaten and tortured on a daily basis.
Andrew Fox, Middle East analyst. Appreciate your time and expertise, Andrew. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.